by film.
5,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade up.
Fish are friends, not food.
Make it Centauri time.
Too much iron in your blood.
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?
Hey, what happened? Let's fly!
Let's get pissed and watch boom.
Hello, you've got a base.
Are you saying there's something wrong with my gear?
We're going streaking!
He found me!
He's doing his Superman thing.
I still only counts as one!
Why is the rum always cold?
Well, all right. Welcome, one and all, to a brand new episode, a brand new year, and a brand new season of 20 Years, 4 Beers. We are a podcast dedicated to rewatching movies from 2 decades ago, while simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother, Tim, and we are coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. In this episode, our first episode of season 4, I guess technically it is, will include the shortened season 1. We're journeying into it'll begin our journey into the films of 2003, leaving behind 2002 in all of its male-dominated glory. So we're going to go ahead and honor that by continuing that tradition tonight. True. But we're going to start things off on a much lighter and simpler note, and we will be rewatching a couple of comedies, first in 2003's Old School, and then on our upcoming happy hour, we will discuss Bend It Like Beckham. Old School is the true-to-life story. Wait. No, that's actually wrong. Yeah. That's actually not right.
Start from
Old School follows a down-on-his-luck man and his two best friends as they decide to open and run a fraternity near a college campus after a string of bad luck hits them. This is not a thinker of a film and is exactly what it sounds like.
Yep.
Comedy happens after that.
Yes.
I don't know. They're threatened to shut down. They have to...
Shenanigans ensue.
Yes, they have to have an academic decathlon-style Billy Madison thing, so...
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
I don't know. I'm not going to go too much into the description on this one. And yet, it's not a thinker film, but it's a raunchy comedy from the mind of Todd Phillips, who somehow would be nominated for 4 Oscars in the next 20 years after this. So it's kind of weird, but yeah, obviously he created the Hangover trilogy and the Joker. So, I know that's your trivia was going to be Todd Phillips.
Oh, you spoiled it.
No.
Curses. You would have never gotten that.
Yes. As mentioned, the film is directed by Todd Phillips, written by Phillips and Scott Anderson with 1 T, because his parents hated him, and stars Luke Wilson, Will Ferrell, Vince Vaughn, Jeremy Piven, and then I threw him in there just because it's such a sausage fest. We have Ellen Pompeo and Leah Remini are also in it, along with a few others, Juliette Lewis, and some small supporting roles.
What is your position on the role of government in supporting innovation in the field of biotechnology?
Well, Dean, I'm glad that you asked that question.
Actually, I'd like to jump in and take that one, Jimmy, if you don't mind.
I think we're done. Have at it, Hoss.
Recent research has shown that empirical evidence for globalization of corporate innovation is very limited. And as a corollary, the market for technologies is shrinking. As a world leader, it's important for America to provide systematic research grants for our scientists. I believe strongly there will always be a need for us to have a well-articulated innovation policy with emphasis on human resource development. Thank you.
What happened? I blacked out.
Well, that was interesting. Thank you very much. And your rebuttal, Mr. Carville.
We have no response. That was perfect.
That's the way you do it. That's the way you debate.
Elijah
Cuthbert, yes.
Or whatever it is.
Yes. Moving on. Yes. So, all right. Our first segment, as always, is Drinking Buddies.
Come on, not my fucking beer.
Where we present the beers we'll be drinking while rewatching our subject film. As our name would suggest, we cover 4 beers. So Tim usually takes point on this, so he will be walking us through our buddies. What do we got, Tim?
Our first
buddy of the night is our theme beer.
Yeah. I think we have 5 technically,
We
right?
do.
Yeah, because of this.
We probably won't drink much of the first, but
God
it's
willing.
somewhat of a rite of passage, much
if
like
this
college.
is the best beer we have tonight, we've got a bad...
Things have gone horribly wrong.
Off the rails.
And as a, very famous line from the movie or a character, Blue.
You're my boy, Blue.
Yep.
We're going to have Labatt Blue,
You're my
the
boy,
Canadian
Blue.
Pilsner, eh? And big, tall 24-ouncer.
With a straw, right?
Yes, exactly.
I legitimately, and we both said this off, I don't think either one of us have had this before. And when I first started drinking back in the day, I honest to God thought it was a blue beer. Like, I'm willing to admit that now. I was like, why the hell would anyone drink a blue beer? And now we're in like the age of sours and ridiculous colored
Ecto
beers. But I
Cooler.
swear to God, I was like, why the hell would you have a blue
Well,
beer?
back in the day, like Zima's, you'd
It's
put
dumb.
stuff in it and all those
No, I
Mike's
don't
Hard
know.
Lemonade came
Thankfully,
out.
I never had a
You
Zima.
ever put the Jolly Ranchers in?
In a Zima?
Yeah.
No, I never had a Zima.
Just think about
Emphysema.
Just think about a drink is so bad that they're like, you know what? Please put something in it to make it palatable.
Ranchers.
Yes, put a Jolly Rancher in.
Do
So
you have any Jolly Ranchers for this? Or
no, we'll work on that.
it's like continuing a tradition of shitty beers. We had a couple of them last year. So
Yes, we're gonna start off right at the bat. And like in college, you drink really shitty beers. So right, you just
but usually, that's true.
You had to.
Yeah.
So Labatt Blue, first one, and then we'll definitely.
Ellen's like, yeah,
that's how you do it.
Said with pride.
It's like that got me through my sophomore year. So then, after we finish, however much we will have of that, then we have Wild Mind Artisanal Ales from Minneapolis. Their I Dunked Once West Coast IPA.
I dumped once.
I dunked like a
I think it's
basketball.
like dumped. I was like,
yeah,
like poo.
Yes, just once.
Literally, I was like, just once.
Yeah, and it was specifically on the West Coast.
Yeah, exactly. It's an annual tradition.
Yes. Not an upper decker, but a West Coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I dunked once West Coast IPA. And then Surly Brewing out of Minneapolis. Their Axeman is kind of their standard, one of their big flagship IPAs.
Todd
but
the Axeman.
this comes out. That's right. Todd the Axeman. Oh, that could have been like a Todd Phillips thing.
Yeah. So this is. There you go.
Double bladed.
Now you have your theme beer.
Another theme. Double bladed Axeman double IPA. And then another one from Minneapolis. Their Fair State Brewing. The Get Down Coffee Company partnered with Fair State Brewing for their coffee stout. And then jumping back over to Surly.
Yeah.
They're one that comes out every now and then. Their Darkness, basic flagship Imperial Stout, but this is one of their variants. And so it is their Ginger Snap with bourbon barrel aged Russian Imperial Stout with ginger cacao, vanilla beans, cinnamon, and orange zest. So we will be enjoying that at the end.
We had a different Surly variant
Yeah, it was like a
fall,
s'mores
right?
one or something like that, I think.
We'll see if it's
Hopefully it's better.
It was fine. All right, well, that brings us to the social network.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
Where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 20 years ago. Once again, Tim takes point on this. So, Tim, what did the critics say from 20 years ago? You don't want any of this, Ellen?
No, she did.
Oh,
She
I was like,
instantly, like before, as I'm pouring this right now, her hands try to creep out like,
she's like,
Mama want to
needs
fix.
some. Mama needs.
Yeah. Oh,
we only poured 2 glasses.
hit
Tim.
that sweet spot. Yeah. You can have a little
You
bit
get
of
to
that.
share yours? This is
Well, I'm not
horseshit.
going to drink all of it. Well, actually, I say that now, maybe.
Yeah.
I reserve the right to
smooth
say
it
I
goes
was wrong
down.
with that.
All right, you're
It,
my boy, Blue.
it smells like the perfect Pilsner that you have that. Oh, yeah. There we go. And we'll review that at the end. So, Social Network. Sorry, back on
Tastes
track.
like the Canadian Rockies.
Right? Just flowing through us. IMDb rating for Old School is 7 out of 10. I think it's the first one they've seen it without a point something. It's
Just
just
7.0?
7 out of 10.
Straight up. 7
Yep.
out of 10 people like this.
That's all you need. Wesley Morris of Boston Globe said, until it gives up on itself in the final 10 minutes, Old School knows how to rock a party with naughtiness and intelligence. Richard Roper of Chicago Sun-Times said, this is a raucous frat school comedy that's dopey, degrading, and disgusting, and consistently hilarious. And then Big Man Roger Ebert, only gave it 1 out of 4. Said, Old School follows the same old story about a bunch of fun-loving guys who only want to meet chicks and get laid, on a young foggy academic dean who wants to spoil their fun. While the movie wants to be a new generation's Animal House, And of course, don't all films like this. It is not a funny movie, unfortunately. Although, to its credit, a few scenes are good, and Farrell does some nice work as an apparently compulsive nudist. Like Roger.
Yeah.
I love, like, sometimes he gets it right, and sometimes like,
this, man.
yes, exactly. You know what you're getting into. Just, wow. So, Academy Awards that year, not surprising.
Yeah.
None.
Again, how many MTV Movie Awards did this win?
Oh.
That's what I want to know. All of them, probably.
Yes.
Like, have you seen Animal House?
Oh, yeah.
I get really tired of, I mean, it's low-hanging fruit to compare college comedies to Animal
Yes.
House. And it's like, that's not a fair comparison anyway.
No.
But I'm like, I bet Roger Ebert, I want to feel like Raj hated Animal House.
Probably.
Like, he probably thought it was too beneath him, but then time goes on and you're just like, now 20 years on, because that would have been about the difference between these two and Animal House, a little
Sure.
bit more. But they're like, oh, it's no Animal House. Yeah, no shit,
Yes.
Raj. Like, what are we?
Exactly. Classic in this genre. It's not that. Yeah. That's not what I'm looking for.
Started the genre that we're talking in. Like,
Exactly.
It's like people comparing things to Star Wars. You're like, yeah, but what? Or 2001 or
Yes.
whatever. You're just like in the mid 70s and Alien. There are these classic.
Yeah, the game changers.
Yes. There's no Star Wars. It's no Alien. Right. Thank you.
Yes.
It's no Animal House. That's
So
because we didn't hit play on Animal House.
Just
We're
lazy.
hitting play on Old School.
Exactly.
Like,
You know what you're getting into.
yes.
Speaking of that, we know what we're getting into next.
Yes. We're going to pause and rewatch the movie. If you are so inclined, go right ahead and watch along with us. If not, we'll see you on the other side of the break. Here now is Old School.
We're going streaking! Yes! No, I'm sorry. Sorry, we're going streaking through the quad and into the gymnasium. Come on, everybody! Come on, Snoop! Snoop-a-loop! Snoop! No, it's cool. It's cool. I'm cool. Bring your green hat. Let's go. Come on, everybody. We're going. Here we go.
What kind of gun is this? That's a tranquilizer gun. If any of these little fuckers decide to freak out on the kids, I get to take them down. Ain't that right, Mama? Oh, what? That's what I thought. Shut up. Hey, be careful with that. That's the most powerful tranq gun on the market. Huh. Got her in Mexico. Cool. Yeah, it is cool. They say it can puncture the skin of a rhino from 100...
Ow! Oh!
Yes! That's awesome! What? You just took one in the jugular, man!
Where am I in my notes? Here we go. All right, well, welcome back to 20 Years, 4 Beers, where we have just finished rewatching Old School, and I've also enjoyed 4 new beers, or, other beers, and some, maybe 5, I guess.
Yeah.
That we will review in a segment to come. But first, as usual, we jump right into our reaction segment that we call Spotlight.
They knew, and they let it happen!
Where we highlight and discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching the film. Very obviously, we will have many deep thoughts when it comes to
the impact of Old School.
It's fun. Like I think when we started season 2, it was Moulin Rouge, and season 3 it was Spider-Man, and I kind of picked Old School for that reason, to just be like, you know what? It's been a few weeks since we recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just start with a fun movie. We're laughing the whole way through. Like, it's exactly what I wanted. So, but do you have any initial, or what's your first sort of thought? I actually don't have a ton, but I'll be able to talk about it. But I'm just like, yeah. I also do not have a verdict, so I don't think we're going to end up doing it. Like, unless you really want to. I'm just like, yeah. What?
I was thinking when we were watching it. So it's somewhat tough. Again, what was us? We have a fun podcast. We hang out and talk about
these
good things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is a rare one to kind of break down or talk to like components of it, because it is such a different type of movie, yet what you want.
Yeah, we're not talking Super Troopers here.
Yeah. Like you sign up for this and be like, it's exactly what it was 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It holds up, and it's a classic, and
I agree.
There we go. And so we'll have some other comments, but it definitely was one where I'm like watching it being like, how do we talk about this in a way that can kind of be like, I don't know, understandable, if you will. So
yeah, I
sorry, listeners, he just had his first sip of the Shirley beer and he's processing in real time. I wish I could explain his like punch in the face reaction to it as we have some more about the movie, but did not. Yeah, I know. We'll come back to this. Yep.
Angry. I guess I didn't think I would come to this place on this movie, rewatching it. But, when we were growing up, 99 had American Pie.
Yep.
And I remember everyone saying, like, generationally, this generation's Animal House, right? Because it was this huge thing. We all saw it in theaters. It's great. I still find it funny.
Yes.
But, like, boy, I would rather watch this movie than that movie.
Totally.
Like, because this is an actual, like, I guess my point is maybe, and I'd have to really look at the list of other movies, like, around this time, because there's obviously Wedding Crashers and Dodgeball and later on Tropic Thunder and that kind of stuff, but those are different kind of movies. But if I were to be like, our generation's Animal House, I mean, I might be like, Old School might be that.
Yes.
Like, this is not only a college comedy.
Yep.
Not only, but it's not like it's not college, but it takes place on a college campus and all this other stuff. Legitimately funny. There's not really much of a story because there's not an Animal House either. Like it's just sort of like maybe this is our generation's Animal House, and yet it's 20 years on. You're like, nobody really. Everyone says they like this movie and it's funny and oh my god, I love this movie. But then you're like, yeah, but okay, but to what end, right? Like so maybe this actually is 20 years on, like a significant thing of saying like this has been 20 years and now we can think about it in that way. And you go, I'll be damned. I found myself laughing from
we were the
opening to end. It is funny. But it's not like funny for the wrong reasons. It's not raunchy funny. It's not like there. I mean, there is some raunch to it, but really there's not a lot of sexual humor. No. It's just situational humor.
Yes.
And really well done. My first reaction ultimately is like, maybe this is our generation's Animal House and not some of the other ones that have been sort of propped up for years on this one.
Yes.
I'd have to sort of look at the list, but I can't think of another one that would be in that vein of the college comedy. And don't get me wrong, I love me some Van Wilder, but nowhere near the same thing. No. That's a raunchy comedy.
Yes.
But like,
well, think about
actual good comedy.
Well, think about Animal House is like just its own, and there were variations of it thereafter, but no sequel of sorts. American Pie had like 4 different movies, and
in the main one,
the
whole world has like 15
like
movies,
offshoots or whatever. And there's no other Old School. This is just this, and
apparently they thought about doing a sequel apparently, but
it would not work. No, and you're right. It's dumb. And you know what you're getting into. And from like the debauchery standpoint, there really isn't that much from, I guess I remember always thinking it was like some kind of weird, skeezy older men looking to capitalize on like all these younger women thing. And there's really not.
No, because they're like what, late 20. I mean, Will Ferrell has looked like he's 50 since he was born.
True.
So, but like
they're supposed to be like 30. Right. Yes. So, and find themselves on
Elijah
campus.
Cuthbert's character aside.
Yes.
We will have to put that aside. We're going to assume she was 18.
She was a senior.
We're just going to assume 18.
And many seniors turned 18.
Many early. You did, right?
September. Yep. Exactly.
There you go.
7 months to graduation. So
anyway.
Yes.
Aside from that, I think it's like, it's not, you do always like, looking back on it now, you're kind of like, that means they're like 9 to 10 years older than these people.
Yes.
And you think like, yeah, that's a little creepy, but you're like, yeah, but if you were 40 or 45, it's not creepy hanging out with 30 or 35-year-olds either.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's kind of like, okay, yeah. I agree with you. I was like, this is not as creepy as maybe we once thought it was.
No. But do you remember we saw this as a special preview? that you, me, and I think two others, I don't know who, maybe Zach and another friend.
On your, yeah.
That we had gotten tickets through Barnes & Noble.
Yeah.
When we worked there. And we saw the preview. And
was that at Southhill at the time? Did they have a theater then? Or where was that?
I don't know where, but
yeah.
Sometimes you just know right away that when you're watching something, it's going to be a huge hit. Yeah. And I remember the time when we saw it, walking out and quoting it and laughing about it and thinking, yeah, this is going to be a huge hit that we'll talk about later. So I love watching it again because, yes, like you said, it's nonstop hilarious. And the tiny things that, you know, when you ever watch a movie that, and I haven't seen this in probably 10 years because it's great, but also like you don't really seek it out. But if it's on, fine, I'll watch it kind of thing.
I know.
But
like I watch Tropic Thunder annually. I think that's one of my funniest movies ever. And yet I find myself laughing constantly through this and quoting. Like I was just throwing out quotes. Like, here we go. And I haven't watched it in probably 5 or 6 years either.
It's like Tommy Boy or others where you know what's coming next. And so we're laughing about it and thinking like, oh yeah, the wedding singer swearing and like the White Snake song throughout it and everything. And so, but yeah, and there's so many pieces that as we watch it, I think, oh my God, we quote this on a regular basis, you know? And so I'm so happy we watched it again, but it is a challenge in some ways to talk about like,
well, I don't need a wax poetic or anything like that. Like that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, again, dozens of people are listening to us right now, but I'm like, I typed this out midway through.
Yeah.
I was like, who knew we would have as many Snoop Dogg and Ellen Pompeo films as we would Will Ferrell? Or like we've seen 2 Ellen Pompeo and Snoop Dogg films, and we've now had 2 Will Ferrell films. And you're like, of all the people
of 20 years on,
or 2 of Jay Hernandez, who was in The Rookie in this, or I think that's his name. But I'm just like, I was just kind of like that kid. Like, I mean, multiple of these random freaking actors, and you're like Ellen Pompeo of all things, who. Boy, you do think there. God bless Hollywood, man. There is a type and there's a typecast.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, this is the Renee Zellweger version of because it's her.
Yes.
Because then we had in Catch Me If You Can, we had Amy Adams, and we had Elizabeth Banks.
Yes.
And like you have these. There's like this sort of typecast, sort of style.
The style.
That like pick up this person and put them in this.
Yes.
And Ellen Pompeo is fine in this, but I just was like, yeah, it's so funny to have 2 Snoop Dogg films.
But I do remember watching it being like,
for those
thinking
Training Day
like,
is the other
Snoop Dogg.
film, yeah.
But watching this being like in the theater being like, yep, this is like she looked like Renee Zellweger.
Yeah, and has that same sound.
Yes.
Yep. Because even in Catch Me If You Can, when she gets the like necklace or whatever, it's like no. No, but really, I was struck by how many, to your point of talking about like as we're watching it again, how many great scenes the moment they start, we were like, oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, this one or this one.
I mean,
because not only are you talking about like the initial party when we're going streaking, which is funny. The birthday party scene is outstanding.
Oh my God, yes.
When he gets tranked.
Yes. Sean William Scott. Yes.
Yeah. Which there was another movie coming up this year. So he's in Evolution, which came out in 2003, which I actually love that movie.
Yeah,
I'll have to just watch that movie on my own and maybe I'll record my own episode.
Yeah.
But the funeral with obviously our theme beer of the night, the You're My Boy Blue.
Yes.
You're my boy blue.
And then James Carville and the debate. Like there's just
I forgot about that.
Is like finding this weird second life on TikTok right now. Like I saw it a couple times out there. Like it's so weird. But there's all these scenes that you're like, I'm not going to say they're classic scenes, but they're great scenes. At the moment they start, you're like, oh my God, this scene, right? And that's what this has. This has 4, 5, 6 of them that you're like, oh, you got to watch the scene. You got to watch the scene. So again, like you talk about, oh, I don't know how much I can talk about this because when I was talking about the plot earlier, like, insert generic like college frat plot here, like that, you know what I mean? But what stands out is everybody involved like did a great job. I mean, Todd Phillips, God bless him. Like, you know, I love it. I mean, I love this movie. From scene to scene, every scene, there's not a missed joke. There's nothing. I mean, it's so well done.
Well, think about I think, and maybe it's a guy thing, so I don't know, but there's
all you ladies just skip on ahead.
No, but I think there's a level of like litmus test where if you make a reference to certain things, it's almost like okay, we are in the same level of kind of understanding our humor or connection or having some commonality.
Yeah.
And like movie quotes or these type of like things is a very guy thing.
Yep.
And so there's so many from this that you use so often that becomes like a shorthand for like, all right, we could be friends or we could be cool. Like we got this together.
Yeah.
And not just like You're My Boy Blue, but like the whole Bed Bath & Beyond, Home Depot sequence. And like all these things you go, oh yes, okay. This is going to be an avenue for us to connect as individuals. And that to me is what's great about this movie.
Yeah.
Is that it holds up where you can connect with individuals. And if you use it as a shorthand, here we go.
Yeah.
We're going to be friends. So yeah, I love this. So let me talk about a little bit Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
So we grew up and knew like, SNL.
Do we want to call this a league of their own? Or I don't know.
Well, I mean,
anyway, continue.
Prior to this, he was in like Zoolander and like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
He was a supporting character. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, SNL, obviously, he was a clear.
I remember
difference.
The year that they debuted that whole new cast and he was a part of it. And it was like, oh,
this guy's different. Like you knew like he was so next level of talent. And while Zoolander was kind of fun, but kind of a sticky, weird thing. This, to the point where we've on the podcast watched some where we think about like Kate Hudson or Hugh Jackman, George Clooney. This is where we go, yeah, you can see watching a movie 20 years on, this was their star-making turn.
Yeah.
And while we have Elf later this year.
That'll be at the end of the year, yep.
This, I remember watching me like, oh my God, this guy's going to be a huge comedy icon.
Yeah.
And it's played out where he is a huge star and, he's a huge, marquee name. But
I'm looking at his IMDb.
Yeah, Frank the Tank.
Yep.
And what he does in this movie is just, and I like Vince Vaughn, clearly, and Luke Wilson, they're great. But the three main characters, I remember, and you can still watch and go, yeah, Will Ferrell clearly became a star with this movie.
Yeah, I agree. It is, I was looking at his, like, he's got some TV stuff out there or whatever, but from a film standpoint, obviously Night at the Roxbury, that's from SNL, but then he was a small part in Austin Powers in 99 as Mustafa, and then he was in Superstar, and then, it was all these sub characters in The Ladies' Man, Jay and Silent Bob, Straight Back, Zoolander, and this was, because arguably he is the star of this movie.
Yes,
he's in this more than anybody. I have like in my Will Ferrell point was like, Will Ferrell is just a force of nature, and you can just see it, right? I did not remember how much he was in this. To your point, this is the first movie I remember being like. So I remember him on SNL, right, and being amazing and all that. Stuff. This is the first movie that I remember being like, oh, yep, here it is.
This is what he can do.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I love it. So no, I mean he is. He's. Yeah, I love it. It's so hard because I think Will Ferrell, Vince Vaughn too has this. Vince Vaughn more than Will Ferrell has this. Like when you see Vince Vaughn, you're like, it's Vince Vaughn. Like you're so money, you're all this other stuff. He's got that same sort of, even onto Wedding Crashers.
Yes,
like it's kind of Vince Vaughn, but like Will Ferrell does a really great job, even though you always know it's Will Ferrell doing this.
Yes,
you buy into whatever character he's doing.
Totally,
and like. He's got Frank the Tank here. He's got Elf later in the year. He's got Buddy. And then he just skyrockets after this.
Yeah. Ron Burgundy next year.
Yeah. Yes. And then, right, exactly. And then you end up at Talladega Nights a couple years down the road. And you just go, they're all Will Ferrell. Nobody sits there and like, nobody would ever accuse Will Ferrell, although he does have some really great, like, especially.
Yes. Stranger Than Fiction. Yes.
He's got some great acting abilities.
Yes.
But nobody would ever accuse Will Ferrell of being like a chameleon. Like, I forgot this was Will Ferrell or anything like that. Yeah, but it's like, And yet still I buy him in every character he's in.
Yes.
Because he just embodies everybody that he's in.
Yes.
And I love him. Yeah.
And to that point of like kind of knowing what you are getting from a acting standpoint.
Yeah.
I do think it's important to call out, Vince Vaughn in this.
Yes.
So there was a Swingers huge impact change, like
yep,
he's so good. And then it was like this weird shift soon thereafter was like, okay, Jurassic Park sequel,
yep,
The Lost World, and then the Psycho remake,
yeah,
and the Cell, which again,
remake? You mean the
shot for shot redo,
ridiculous waste of money?
Yes, money. And then the Cell, which is still great, but it was all this weird pivot where this guy was coming out of indie films and like and then he tried to be an actor and it's like, you're not good at that because you can't pull it off. And there was a stretch where he did that and then thankfully came back to this. Yeah. And then after this is like Wedding Singer, Wedding Crashers, Starsky and Hutch. Like he thankfully somehow maybe had some friend like Vince.
Yeah.
Come on. You can't pull that off. And so just stick in your lane with what you can do. And thank God, because I love that he can just do this motor mouth shtick. And I actually kind of think about it in hindsight. This feels in many ways like a pseudo, not sequel, but idea that his character from Swingers never made it.
Right.
His shtick didn't work and he failed in LA.
Yep.
And then moved out.
Yep.
Back to where he grew up or whatever. Got married. Used his kind of charisma to then become the speaker icon.
Yeah.
And he has that vibe that totally works for this. And I do feel like him, Will Ferrell, and Luke Wilson, they do actually have a vibe of feeling like they could be friends.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it doesn't feel forced in many ways where you go, really? Like I don't know that you would actually hang out in real life. This does have some element where they maybe grew up together and have some connections and that, but
yeah, and I think that's what I love about this. They don't even tell us what the connection.
Yes,
are they college buddies? Are they just high school buddies? I don't even know.
You're together. But yeah, I think the two of them and Lucas, again, not to use the line from Legally Blonde, he's fine in this. Like
he is fine.
He is a well done main guy. Cool.
Yep.
And he's, I think, best suited for that, where the weird stuff happens around him. He's a good straight man.
Yep.
And then the funny stuff happens around him. So yeah, partnering him with Will Ferrell and Vince Vaughn is genius because the three together can totally pull this off. Where it's absurd premise, but it's just a classic. Just
I agree.
So happy to watch
I actually think classic's the right term.
Yes.
I'm on my phone like scrolling through because my next question is like, so we had a problem with Zoolander.
Yes. It did not hold up. 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yes. Because it came out right around 9/11.
Yeah. And so like we had, I mean, Jerry Stiller aside, we had and actually Will Ferrell in that, it's fine.
And Vince Vaughn.
Right. Yeah, fair point. Right. And but like I'm looking at this list of like, is this the movie that started the quote better raunchy comedy of the 2000s?
Absolutely.
Because you look at the list of what came out after this.
Yes.
Because Wedding Crashers was 2005, and then you just end up like all these. We talk about The Girl Next Door actually, which is a vastly underrated movie. But yeah, I was kind of like just sort of scrolling through. And you're like, yeah, I mean, American Pie is classic for sure.
Totally.
Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But everything between this and Hangover in 2009. So these are 6 years apart, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Wow.
But like
6 years. Wow.
Yeah. But you just kind of go like, I mean, 40-Year-Old Virgin is in 2005.
They definitely had a hard pivot to the Judd Apatow.
For sure.
Type of feel.
And we're not even there yet. So Apatow was probably sitting there going like, hell yes, let's go. I Love You Man was in 2009. Role Models was in 2008. Step Brothers was in 2008. Super Troopers we already covered. I kind of was like looking back at this and go maybe, and I didn't even look at the I didn't look at the box office of this. I didn't look at any of that kind of stuff. But if I look back and say we know this was a hit.
Yes,
like it was a well received movie. It was a hit. We all saw it. It was great. But like, yeah, is this the movie? Like, I think a lot of people give Zoolander that credit, or they give some of those movies. And I'm like, no, I think Old School is maybe the movie that sort of kickstarted what was to come after. This is such a good movie.
Yeah, I mean,
it's such a good comedy.
It made $87 million,
which I'm sure was made off of 5 to 10
return,
at the time. Right? Yep.
On that, in terms of if you're thinking about it, it was made for 24, so at least 3 times and then some. It's money. Yeah, it's gonna be held in high regard. And I mean, it came out in February that year, so kind of under the radar. But then it built some legs to it. I think on video.
I don't want to like go too deep in this, but you're just kind of like I was struck throughout the movie as I was watching. I was like, maybe this is our generation's Animal House.
Yeah.
Maybe this is one where you're like, this is the one that you look back on and say like, here it is. Now, Animal House, the difference between that and any other film for the most part for us except Jurassic Park, it was very it was generationally accepted. Like it was like wholly accepted on a generation.
Yes.
Everybody loved this movie.
Yes.
This is us. This is our time.
Yep.
So this didn't have that kind of like follow up to it by any means. So I mean, like that's where you kind of you lose the sort of the social connectivity. But just from a film standpoint, if you look at the films that came over the next 6 to 8 years, they are all like
trying to recapture this. Yes.
I mean, and I love Road Trip. Don't get me wrong. That was a couple years prior to this. I mean, but not in a great movie standpoint, just a fun movie or whatever.
Yes.
But this is actually kind of one that is funny. Like I could put this on, and then like when my kid's old enough, I could put this on and watch it.
Yes.
And maybe skip a couple little scenes or whatever. But beyond that, I'd be like, you're gonna find this funny.
Yes.
As a high schooler or college kid, because I did when I was a kid. Generationally speaking, that's what I'm talking about.
And think about it's an hour and a half. It's short and sweet.
I know.
Like
we can ramble on as long as we freaking want, because it was only an hour and a half.
Exactly. Yeah. But like think about someone talk about Apatow, but like some of these comedies would go on forever. Yeah. And this is just like, we know what we got.
Yep.
We're gonna tell a quick, compact story, and it's gonna work well. So no, I'm happy we start this year off with this because it's still holds up and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we were laughing against the parts that we expected, and it's just incredible. So good.
Do you have any other final thoughts?
No, just it is. I mean, if you've seen it, you've seen it.
Yeah.
And if not, I don't know how. But
I mean, like, we have people who listen that maybe from a generational standpoint, whether it be your in-laws or our parents or whatever. Like, yeah, okay, you're not going to watch this film. I get that.
Yeah.
But everyone else is like, no, I've seen it. Whether you love it or not is irrelevant, but everyone's seen it.
You've seen it. It's so good.
But the only thing I would say is it holds up 20 years later. Like, I mean, totally. I would put this up against any comedy now. There's so many others, like we talked about Zoolander, where it was like, yikes, this did not
high concept
age well.
Yep.
Good things about it, but did not age well. And this one, I'm like, even the Eliza Cuthbert stuff, you're kind of like, we're gonna assume that that she's of age because we did at the time.
Yes.
This is 20 years on. You go like, I could show this, and it would be
yes.
I don't have to worry about a joke here or there that's going to be wrong. So I would recommend it for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm going to skip the verdict. I don't think I have any sort of like end of this sort of like
here's this profound thing.
I already talked about our generation's Animal House or whatever. Yes. Like I don't need to worry about that. So cool. All right. So that actually will bring us to our next sort of segment that once again I forgot to type out, so I'm going to wing it. That brings us to Drinking Buddies Part 2.
Let's get weird.
Which is where we, after discussing the film, we will come back and sort of discuss the beers that we had, rate them on our expert beer ratings, and kind of go from there. We ended up having 5 for the most part.
Yeah.
So Tim is going to bring us back through our buddies, and we will give you our ratings. What do we got for Drinking Buddies, Tim?
For our theme beer to start, we had our Labatt Blue.
You're my boy, Blue.
You're my boy, Blue.
And much like the movie, where you think about, I know what I'm getting into with this.
Yes. Yep.
The Canadian Pilsner, it's a 3 for me because it's like any other insert type of light Pilsner beer.
I know.
It wasn't bad.
No.
It wasn't good. It's exactly what I thought it would be.
Somehow or another, 2 grown-ass men who have spent plenty of time in bars in Wisconsin and in rural Minnesota have never had
Never
had
had
Blue.
it.
I agree. I'd at 3 out of 5 and be like, all right, if you're gonna, again, I think I said to you, I was like, if I'm gonna be in a bar in like St. Paul and you're gonna give me the choice of like 2-for-1s and it's hams or it's this, I'm gonna grab this.
I'll go
right?
blue.
Or it's PBR or this. Be like, oh, I'm gonna grab this. Yeah, it's a 3. It's 3 out of 5.
I agree.
I'm very surprised that neither of us had it.
No,
I think your wife was a little bit disappointed in both of us.
She's
actually,
like, you haven't.
She's like, how is this possible?
You highbrow
monster.
And then we had Wild Minds. I dunked once. West Coast. Yes, I
in
dunked.
Basketball.
West Coast IPA. It's a 3.75 for me. I was expecting more like bitterness from a West Coast, kind of like hoppy, bitey type of thing, but it was fine. It's good. For a local option, 3.75 for me.
3.75 for me as well.
Ba-ba-da.
There was,
nothing remarkable.
No, and I think so. As much as we've kind of crapped a little bit on Wild Minds being pretentious and this kind of stuff, what Wild Minds gets away with their pretentiousness because they make better beer than this.
Yes.
And so for me, I almost was like, if I read the description on this online, I would want to just punch somebody somewhere in the balls just to like, and that's my problem. And so like, it doesn't live up to whatever their pretentiousness is. So, cause they have other ones that you go in and you're like, that's a 4.25, this is outstanding.
Yep.
And that's what I think breweries, for all the brewers out there need to, listen. This is the problem. If you're going to talk a big game, you better deliver.
Yes.
And this is meh. So it's 3.75. And I'd be like, if I were at the tap room, I almost be mad. Like,
I think about like a West Coast Stone IPA is always kind of the standard bearer of like punch you in the face. Like, ooh, it's not the hazy. It's not like sweet. It's like bitter. This didn't have anything close to that.
Yeah, there was nothing to it.
It was
not a lot of flavor.
Fine.
It was fine.
But yeah.
Right.
Not great.
It's fine.
Yep. And then we had Surly's Double Bladed Axeman Double IPA. For me, it was a 4.25. A lot of good flavor. I like Todd the Axeman, but this was a nice, like, little bit up it for me. So yeah, I liked it. It's good.
I have a 4.5. This is the best beer of the night for me.
Ooh.
It is. Yeah. I like Todd the Axeman a lot. I think this is a great double version of it as well. I think it brings in, like, if they were to just release it, so they do Abrasive, which is one of our favorite.
Oh God, yes.
Double IPAs.
Yep.
I would put this below Abrasive, but if they were to have released this as a sort of new beer and just call it something else, I'd be like, this is amazing.
Yeah, Tim, get it.
Right, exactly. So I have 4.5. I kind of nursed it because I wanted to just keep it going. I was like, yep, keep it going. This is great. Like, the only downside of Surly for anyone who is in the metro area of Minneapolis is the cost.
Yes.
The 4-pack, I assume, is $20 for 4.
Yes.
It's just absurd.
Yeah.
It's like, go F yourself. But beyond that, I have 4.5. I love it.
It's real good. Yep. It's really, really good. And then we had Fair States Coffee Stout. Just a regular, there's no fancy name to it.
Right?
It's just Coffee Stout.
Yeah,
the Get Down Coffee Company and Fair State Brewing Company Coffee Stout. I really like this, man. For a coffee stout, I want to really taste the coffee. Like, not overwhelming, but like a good heartiness. Like, it was a 4.25 for me. Just a solid option for them. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I have a 4.25 as well, but I actually moved it up from a 4 because I was coming off of this sort of high of 4.5 and really enjoying this. And then it was like, to go from a double IPA to a coffee stout, it kind of felt like it was a little bit different. And as I drank it, I was like, no, this is actually really good.
Right?
This is really good. This is probably the best Fair State beer I've had in quite a while.
And we always talk about Fair State. We're like, oh, I wish I could quit you. I really
like. You keep making good beer,
and you're like, oh, you come back and go, God, this is really good.
Right? Yeah, this is an example of it. Yep.
Yeah. So if you're in the market for a coffee stout, that's the one to find.
Yeah.
And then we had Surly's Darkness.
I'm gonna rate this on the fly. Yeah.
The Ginger Snap. I'm perplexed, to be honest. There's not much bourbon flavor because the ginger and orange, like
this claims to have bourbon in it.
It's a bourbon barrel aged.
Bitches. I'm bringing my rating down.
Russian
right
Imperial
now.
Stout with ginger, cacao, vanilla, cinnamon, and orange zest. It tastes like a ginger snap in many ways. Have it again as I talk like that. But the orange really comes through, and it kind of overwhelms things, to be honest.
Yeah, like
and so
Toblerone.
It does absolutely have that Toblerone thing.
Yeah.
Like a 3.5 for me in a disappointing way. I
Yeah.
still like it, but I'm happy we can share it because it's an odd one for me.
I think what frustrates me about this is just why would you do this to a good beer? Why would you do this?
Why would you make this?
Why would you do this to beer?
Yeah,
like
darkness is incredible.
As much as I hate Surly in a lot of ways and all this other stuff. The one thing you got going for you is darkness.
Yes.
And Todd the X-Man and Abrasive, and that you have some really great things going for you. So you take this beer and you go, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make this worse. I don't understand it.
Exactly.
Like, what's the point of making
it's just
a really
odd.
good beer? So we met off recording, we talked about like Falling Knife. They just re-released their Screaming for Vengeance, what I'm going to try and get, and we'll maybe cover on our next episode.
Nice.
Well, not our next live recorded episode.
Yep.
And my point is this: is like they took a really great beer and they just made it again.
Yeah.
Like just make it again.
Yeah.
Don't
if it works.
Don't take a beer and then F it up. Like I don't like ginger. It's not my great but I actually can understand how ginger snap in a stout would work.
Yes.
But why make it with darkness?
Yes.
Make it with a different stout. It's just, so I have a 3.25 out of 5 because I brought it down because there is no bourbon in this.
No.
I had a 3.5 out of 5, but like
The spices overwhelm it.
bourbon, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No, this is a disappointing. I mean, average wise, 3.25. A lot of people are like, great, let's have it. That's fine.
Yep.
But I couldn't finish a whole one. I'm basically done with what I'm drinking now anyway.
Yeah.
And again, it's not that it's bad, but it is like
true.
You took a really good beer and made it worse.
Yes.
Like, why is that? Am I supposed to like pat you on the back for this? Like, no. This
And I
is
can't imagine
not good.
It's a tall boy. To the one thing I like that Surly's actually started to change is instead of like the bomber bottles, they take their variants of other stuff and they split it up. And so you get a tall boy, which is nice. But I can't imagine. I mean, I can't even finish 8 ounces of this.
No.
So like a whole tall boy? No way. No.
No, and a lot of that is because of the choice of the flavors that you're putting in this.
Yes.
Not the base beer.
No.
Like,
yeah.
Again, and this is where, like, when I went on my rant last year about the pumpkin spice stuff, it was like you were rating it a 4, but I can't finish 6 ounces.
Yes.
I'm like, right, so yeah. So it deserves the doc. I can't finish half of a tall boy is 8 ounces of beer, and I'm now halfway through that, so I'm basically done at 4 ounces of beer.
Yeah.
You don't get a great rating for that. You just don't.
No.
So anyway,
it's good.
All right. So our final segment of the episode is Quiz Show.
The exciting quiz program 21.
Where in our research for the film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you, our dear listeners. I have an interesting factoid and a couple of
I've got 3 trivia.
One came up during the movie, so we'll kind of see where we're at. Why don't
you go first?
I will go first on my factoid.
Okay. Just
because I find this interesting. So, I did not look. I assume this was on purpose. But, so Blue's real name is Joseph, or if you initial it, it's a J. Blue Pulaski is his last name.
Mm-hmm.
And the Toronto Blue Jays have a minor league team called the Pulaski Blue Jays. And I gotta tell you, I guarantee you that's on purpose.
That might be
right.
Yeah, I mean,
he is J. Blue Pulaski, and they have the Pulaski Blue Jays. And I was like, God bless you, Todd Phillips.
It's got to be
like this has to be, or Scott single T. Anderson.
Scott.
Like, what the hell ever, man.
That's a good deep.
That is a great
cut.
deep cut.
That's
like,
really
yep,
good.
It's not a trivia. There's not there. But I was like, I got to include this because holy shit, that's amazing.
It's got to be on purpose.
It has to be,
Yes,
right?
right?
Like,
Yes.
it's J. Blue Pulaski.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, all right.
Okay,
I will
that's
ask
good.
I only have a couple, but
All
so Jeremy Piven plays Dean Pritchard in this film, and he's the stereotypical bad guy Dean that we see in so many college comedies that are literally every college comedy has a angry Dean who's trying to take somebody down.
Yep.
However, less than a decade earlier than this, he starred as a fun stoner college student in what 1994 college-based film?
Oh my gosh. I have no idea.
If I say it, you'll know it.
When you tell me, yes. But
Yeah, PCU.
yeah. Once you say
9 years prior, he was actually the college student in PCU.
How far he's come.
Yes,
to
look
be
at
the
him.
man.
Look at him, yeah.
Oh,
So
so PCU. Back in. Good cut. Good cut. Ellen Pompeo.
Okay.
Who's
Grey's
most-
Anatomy.
No.
Ah, damn it.
Who's most well known for her lead role in.
Oh, hey, Grey's Anatomy.
There it is.
Yeah.
And who we also saw briefly in our recently rewatched Catch Me If You Can.
Love it.
Made her film debut in what 2002 drama starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Dustin Hoffman, and Susan Sarandon. Based upon a Rolling Stones song.
I can picture the poster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
in a car.
I know. I'm
about his
sitting there
ex, his girlfriend who died.
yeah. What the hell is the name of it? I didn't know she was in that.
Oh yeah, she's the main love interest.
Yeah, I can totally picture the poster, but I'm losing it at the what is it?
Moonlight Mile. Yes.
Picturing the poster,
Right?
I'm not even sure I've seen that movie, but I can see the.
It's really good, dude.
Poster.
It's
Well, I mean, come
really
on.
good. Yeah.
Susan Sarandon is a sneaky person that you can sort of punch in any movie she's in and it's going to be good. She's very selective of her movies. Dustin Hoffman, not the case, but
No.
Susan Sarandon, if she's in it, she's like, yeah, it's pretty. I just rewatched The Client recently. Love that movie.
Well, it's loosely based upon the director's experience with, I forget her name, but she was the daughter of My Two Dads who was killed by a stalker. And so he was the boyfriend. The director was of that girl. And so the whole story about his girlfriend dying and then him coming to terms with his
thinking
parents.
My Two Dads is in the TV show?
The TV show, yeah. The main girl from that died from a stalker.
Yeah.
And so the director, writer, was the boyfriend at the time.
Wow, deep cut.
So, yeah.
Holy
Check it
cow.
out. It's really good.
So
If you haven't watched it, it's really good. But yeah, she's in that as well.
Wow. All right. Well, you have 3, so you have 2 more to go.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess I have 2 more here. So, Will Ferrell, Vince Vaughn, Juliette Lewis, and Snoop Dogg would go on to star together once again in what 2004 film?
Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, because I already mentioned it
we heard
earlier.
yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg. Yeah, give it right. Yeah. I didn't know she's in it actually.
Yeah, she's in it a little bit. But
Nice.
Yeah. Starsky and Hutch, very terrible movie.
It's not terrible. You know what you're getting into.
I guess it's not great though.
It's not great.
It's not great.
I agree.
In the grand scheme of old shows like that,
But they
there were
remade
all
it in
these
a good
damn
way.
old shows that made into a movie, like A-Team and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Before he moved to Chicago as a young child, in what prominent Midwestern city was Vince Vaughn born?
I mean, I don't know, Minneapolis.
Yes, I had no idea. The whole mystique of him is he's a Chicago. No, he was born in Minneapolis.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell me you're from wherever you want, bitch, but you were from here.
Yeah, exactly.
Although Craig Kilborn was born in St. Louis, but really he's or Kansas City or whatever.
Yeah.
He actually claims to be kind of from this area.
Yeah,
He's-
area, yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
There you go.
All right. I don't know how to word this, especially now that your wife just walked in without being somewhat sexist. So I apologize ahead of time.
This is a great trivia before she came in. Ellen.
Yeah, could
Go
you
away.
leave for a
Yeah.
moment, please?
You come back next.
So Perry Reeves.
Earmuffs.
Yeah, earmuffs. Perry Reeves plays Marissa.
Yes.
That's the wife of Frank.
Yes.
In this. So she is literally Frank's wife in this, right?
True.
She would later go on to star as another wife, quote, in what hit HBO TV show
That's my trivia.
Is it?
With Jeremy Piven. Yeah.
With
Entourage.
Jeremy Piven.
Yes!
I love that.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching this being like, yeah, and then it would come out later.
I actually think in IMDb she's called Ari's wife. I'm not even sure she. I'm gonna look.
She has no.
I don't even know if she has
agency
a first
unto
name.
herself.
I think she
and
might.
she is
be called
just
Ari's wife.
Ari's wife
in Entourage,
and that's a
find out.
great show. A fun,
For-
insanely
right, I
dumb.
agree,
Like
yes.
you know what you're getting
How the
into,
hell do I
but
spell Entourage. Oh, I don't need to worry about it. ENT is good enough.
yes,
Yeah, I
Perry
wanna find
Reeves.
out.
Yes, I had the
Was that your
same-
last one?
Yeah, it was.
Love it.
What
So it's- no,
show
she's
were they
Mrs.
going?
Ari. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
She's Mrs. Ari.
Not even his wife, but
It's
just
not
the
even- she has no
Mrs.
first name.
Ari.
Mrs. Ari. There endeth the list.
Yeah, that's my trivia.
bless
That was good. Yes.
All right. Well, that will bring us then to the end of our episode and to the moving on. I forgot to edit that point. That will bring us to the end of our episode.
Me fail English? That's impossible.
Stay tuned for our happy hour episode. We'll be discussing Bend It Like Beckham, the not raunchy comedy from that year, but another comedy from that year. We want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. Find us on Twitter for now at years_beers and on Facebook.
Right now.
Who knows what Elon does,
I
right?
know, right?
Yeah, we might get canceled.
That dumbass.
Or head to 20years4beers.com. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
Tim.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks. Mama wanna
needs
fix.
All you ladies, just skip on ahead. I don't want to go too deep in the. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make this worse.